Hello and welcome to the Rhythm Factory. I'm Eddie C, and together with my co-host Peter D, we're going to bring you in touch with people in and around the music business. This is the podcast that takes you up close and personal. Hi everyone, and welcome again to TRFP, the Rhythm Factory podcast. My name is Eddie C, and to my far right, my colleague, Mr. Peter D. Today's guest is actually from Belgium, and he's a very talented, jazz, gypsy guitarist.
Gypsy jazz.
Yeah. His name is Ramsy Irani. You want to maybe tell a little bit about yourself before we go on with our questions?
Yes.
Basically.
Okay. I'm Ramsy Irani, and I studied philosophy and I studied music. And today I teach 2 days in a week at Academy in St. Nicholas. And next to that, I play and freelance, and I have my own project which is called Let's Go. So nowadays I play a lot acoustic.
Okay.
I have 2 kids, lovely kids, and a lovely wife, and
Great.
that's
fantastic.
That's,
okay.
Basic.
Well, and I was doing some background. I know we've worked together as well a couple of times since I've been living in Belgium. I know you studied at for your bachelor's degree in Brussels.
Yes.
And then you went to Antwerp to get your master's degree. I was wondering why you did that. I mean, and not at the same school. And maybe you can tell a bit about some of your teachers that you had.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it was an accident that I studied in Brussels, because I studied philosophy and I worked in Brussels and I played there in local bands.
Okay.
And I was a saxophone player. He went to a jazz stage, and I went along with him. And the guitar teacher proposed to me, you can enter the conservatory in Brussels.
Okay.
And for me, it was a lifetime opportunity. So,
All right. So
while I worked, I studied in Brussels. And then in the meantime, we bought a house in Antwerp, and my wife is from Antwerp, so we moved to Antwerp, and I studied there the master's degree. That's the practical side of it, but musically,
happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And musically, I followed lessons with Paolo Radoni, who passed away in the third year when I was there.
Okay.
And but we had some lovely teachers there. We had Arnoud Massar, who taught rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And the nice thing about it, because I never did any music academy, and he had a nice approach to it, like clapping with your hands and tapping with your feet, and it was also harmony was like singing, and it wasn't like we're gonna study harmony, but it was like more singing. And that's what I liked about Brussels. It wasn't so big, the school.
Okay.
But you had a handful of teachers, and they were really.
They gave you the attention and any extra, little extra thing that you needed to have to keep you motivated.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And then I went to Antwerp. The main reason was because in Antwerp you had Martijn van Itersen, which you all know.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I studied 2 years with him, which was.
He's a fantastic guitar player.
Yeah,
he's played on one of my albums as well. Yeah.
He's really great. And he didn't say much, but just it was more like every lesson was like you prepare 2-3 songs and we just play.
Right.
And then he just said one sentence at the end, like, "Oh, you should maybe do this or that." But he didn't say much. But the sound he had and the way he played his instrument, he played 0-12 strings, like just the sound from the fingers on a Gibson ES 125, and it had a big influence on me, and it was a good choice because you have 3 guitarists that studied with Wim van Overgouw, Maarten, Van der Rinte, Jesse van Riller, who everybody knows. He's got one of the top albums I still find played acoustic live in a jazz club. But that sound, that old archtop sound, the hard work from the fingers, I really loved it, and that's why I went to Antwerp. And,
all right. Okay.
So. And
well, you mentioned before that you studied philosophy.
Yes.
Is that something that's intertwined with your musical career? Did you put it in your music, or maybe in your study at that time?
I I think philosophy for me it's something like it's always there. You know, the way you look at things, and it's not you can make money with it, but it's always there in everything I do, and it's something you use every day. It's yeah. So I studied in the very beginning when I was 17. I was like in my teenage. I started playing guitar, and I was more like a singer-songwriter. And then it was like, well, what am I gonna do? And you didn't have conservative jazz or pop, and I went to study philosophy. And but I was I was playing all the time guitar.
Yeah.
So and singing and
So then you know what you're gonna do, right? Yeah.
I maybe
Absolutely.
attended 80 hours of school at university, and I was always outside and playing. But it's to me it's more like a way of living, of thinking, and music too. It's a whole. I don't separate things. Everybody's at some point a musician or likes music and is a kind of philosopher, and so it's not.
You can have a philosophy about music, right? And I was wondering because you play a variety of styles, and but your main love is basically the gypsy thing, the gypsy jazz and the jazz side. Can you tell us a bit more about the philosophy about that, or the love you have for that particular music?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For me, music is a language. That's something that's really important. And as I said in Brussels,
Right.
people, I think music should be not something intellectual, but it should be something that's open, and you come together and you share, you try a dialogue, and can be with any culture.
Absolutely.
And that's what I liked about Brussels. Anu Masai he was doing the rhythms in the classroom together in a circle and stuff and singing together, and that's different. It comes in a more natural way, and that's what I like about gypsy jazz. You know, after I did conservatoire in Antwerp, we had to. I had my own quartet, and I was writing really difficult stuff, and and then we went to play, and there's not so much work, but it was good. We prepared ourselves. Like I started a few weeks, and then did the concert, but it was something for me artificial. Because jazz should be a language. You get together. You don't know what you're gonna play, and you play together, and just by ear, and that's so for me it's. Should be a language that's open and
have a natural
and
flow.
the dialogue, and has a natural flow.
Yeah,
and you find it in those elements in jazz and gypsy.
Yeah. I find it in gypsy jazz. It's a world that it's very easy. You don't have to take much with you. You just take your guitar, acoustic guitar. And you have links, connections with world music. You have connections with classic music, and with jazz. So you can put a lot into it, and I like it. I like the acoustic flavor of it, and it's very, very natural and direct and true,
and
authentic.
I think I noticed the scene since I've been in Belgium. I know there's like the scene is like, let's say, a little bit more quiet compared to, let's say, to Holland, but you have like these little small clubs that like where we actually met. What was
Den Hopzak?
Den Hopzak. But there was a jam session, and then I remember I didn't know anybody there. I was invited by this bass player, and we played, and there was even at one point a tap dancer, you know, and Susanna Pezo, and. It was such a great experience, just musicians not knowing what they're going to play, getting together, and then bam. And there was a cozy atmosphere, and what was supposed to be for me, I'll pop in for an hour and bring my cajon and my bongos, I think stay for an hour. I think it was about 2 o'clock in the morning when I, left. But the place was packed, and of course, you know, you're doing it for the love of music, because it's funny. Everybody, they pass a hat around, and I was going, oh man, this is really like the old days. But it was it's a great experience, and the place is still exists, and people still play there. It's a nice place to go to if you're ever in Antwerp. Especially on Tuesday night. You usually
it was
on
Monday
night.
We played there a few weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago, I guess. But yeah, you do. It's. I think it's important because it's a meeting point. It's a meltpot, and to do it, like once a month or something. It's not. You can make. It's not to make a living out of it, but just for the connection,
and for the
meeting people and yeah. It's communication.
You should come check it out, man.
Yeah, man.
You should come check it out.
Yeah, I'd love to.
I know the word is out that you're busy with a new CD.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the title is. I know we're going to be collaborating on that for something. Actually had the honor and pleasure of writing the lyrics on one of your songs.
Nice lyrics, yeah.
And actually a song about your son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dante.
Yeah. So, but I know your music has this sort of romantic style, and it's sort of a contemporary and world music that you were saying to us, this sort of melting pot. The stuff I know from you and from what I've been listening to, is the new CD going to be in that direction?
Yes, the sound is going to be different because the people on it are different. The first CD we had was with a clarinet player. And we still have the same bass player, but we have a new rhythm guitarist, Sam Stag, who is also a good singer.
Very good singer, yeah, absolutely.
We have a very nice violin player, Alexandre Tripodi.
Yes.
And, so, and we have a nice percussionist. I think you know him well. So the sound, the lineup is different. That makes it, first of all, because the music comes from at least 60-70% from them. Next to that, I'll put 4 original songs of it. I put a prelude to a song of Django, a waltz, Montagne Sainte-Geneviève. I wrote a prelude to that, and we will record that too. And we have some South American music we will put on it. And for this CD, we also decided, it was not really a decision, but it went that way. We don't put any American standards on it. So this time it's going to be more European, South American, and own compositions.
And original compositions.
So, so a lot of, And a mixture also of French chanson and swing, but also Dutch. I never did anything in Dutch, but... we translated one from Brassens to Dutch, and we'll put in a Dutch song from Louis Neefs on it.
Okay. And, okay. I mean, this is for me also a surprise. I only know the one track, basically. So, and I know you'll be recording in the coming weeks. Yeah. Should be fun. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
You also have a project. It's called Let's See Gal.
Yeah.
Yes. That's with this CD right here. We were joking about the colors backstage with the photo shoot. It's nice orange.
Yeah.
So it's kind of Dutch, right?
Yeah, it's kind of
Dutch. But it's a lovely CD actually, and I have a question about it because, and I'm going to quote you. You described the music as alternately swinging, melancholic, uplifting, cheerful, in short, fascinating as life itself. We tapped a little bit into philosophy, but can you explain more about your vision of life in conjunction with your music?
Well, I think it's all about energy. It's kind of like if you, for instance, take swing. I think swing, music is mostly always positive. And if you listen to swing, it makes people dance. It's really positive energy. I have 2 kids walking around. If I sing or if you play some swing, they start moving. They don't think, they just dance. And so it's an energy that's really positive. And that's what I like about music. You can easily share without things you can't say in another language, and it communicates directly, the rhythm communicates directly.
Universal language.
Yes, and I think music, what I find a pity today, is that music has become something separated from life. You can buy it, it has become a commodity. And also, as I was saying,
unfortunately,
in Antwerp, we play from time to time in small clubs, and we play acoustically. And there's one neighbor who comes to live next door or above, and he starts complaining about the concerts which were already there before he lived there, and then they shut down the bar, or they said no music is allowed anymore. And I know already 3 pubs in Antwerp that where it happened, 3 bars.
That's a pity, man.
And that's a pity, because music should be always between people. It's not that everybody needs to be a professional musician, but everybody has music in him, and we should share it and not feel like there are any borders, or just it shouldn't be. Yeah, that's how I feel it.
We're on the same page.
Audiences.
Absolutely. There's also, I mean, it's like if you look at all of the things going on in the world. I mean, I think we've got a whole generation of, I call it the Game Boy generation. A lot of the kids that grew up with a Game Boy in their hand, and it's all nothing against the dance music. Is also an art form to a degree as well, or nothing against the hip hop rap, because they got something to say as well. But I think everything has become so mechanical that the heart of the instrument, the connection between a guitar and your body and your fingers, or between holding the drums and playing the drums with your sticks or with hands, or whatever instrument, the piano, the actual touche and everything. That's a spirit from within, and punching something out on a keyboard and letting it go before you know it, it's like a broken record, and maybe me being from an older generation, the heart and soul that we had, like I said, of making music. I mentioned it before in some of our earlier shows. People need to come more in touch, with like you say, with the fact that music has no borders. It has no borders, and if there would be a little bit more integration musically, maybe a lot of problems in the world could also be solved. Because I mean, you take a Middle Eastern musician and a musician from the West and a musician from Asia and somebody from Africa, and put them together. There's this beautiful thing that can come out, And if I think if we settle a lot of political problems just by let's just make some music around it, might be a whole different world as well. It's idealistic, but
it's a pity that they close down the bars, right? Because
yes.
music, especially live music, is something that I think people still want to see. And it makes people connect on a different level. So taking away the opportunity to make music there, they forget about that, the fact that they take away something else too.
Absolutely.
On a social level.
Absolutely.
And that's pretty frightening, actually.
Yeah, that's really. There's a big difference, I think, between Antwerp and Ghent, because in Ghent you have a lot of small bars and people come out much more. They go to a bar and they drink, and in Antwerp it's you can count them on one hand, and it's become difficult. It's really it's a pity.
We have one more question for you.
Okay.
We ask all our guests if they have a funny or just an anecdote about playing something that happened. Have you ever been in a situation where something funny happened, or something which is nice to mention? I know there are a few ones.
There usually are.
The next one isn't maybe so funny, but it says something about reality. I do a lot of freelance work, and I got a phone call, and I don't know how they got my name, but I said yes. And they asked me to play the song Sultans of Swing, to prepare that and the solo, and so I prepared it, and we got there, and there was a stage on a market, and you had a drummer and the keyboard player with a big system, and two vocal singers, and so we started playing. I was like, I have to play the solo. I'm going to play the solo, and he puts on the button, and the solo starts to play out of the system. It's a completely MIDI system. Even
way.
drums weren't.
No.
Everything was in it. Everything was in it.
Oh wow!
So and then then his wife started singing, and it sounded not so well. And the guy
You
started.
should have put her in the in the box, right?
Maybe she should have been sampled.
And the guy was singing too, and he tore off his T-shirt and started like doing this, and
Oh, you got
I was
kidding.
like, "What's happening?" I went to the back, but it's just such a pity, you know. You have live musicians, but you put on a button like.
But it's almost a
Wow.
little bit insulting. I mean, you
Yeah.
spend all those hours, you know, trying to figure out the guitar solo.
Instead of sultans of swing, insulting of swing.
Yeah. And you're replaced by just a sample. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
Oh well,
No.
we want to thank you. We want to thank you for coming to our show, and we hope we wish you a lot of success with the new CD. I mean, I'm sure we'll plug it here and everything. For those who listen and watch our podcast, if you want to know more information about Ramsy, please go to our website. It is the Rhythm Factory podcast at gmail.com. You can write us an email if you want to do that, or go to us on Facebook and look up the Rhythm Factory podcast. You can see all the information and links to Ramsy's website, and to check out some of the nice music he's making. And of course, you'll get to hear him live. We don't play live music here, but we want you to go to the artist to hear the music. That's the whole idea. Once again, that's it for this week. Thank you again to Ramsy Irani for being our guest. Once again, thanks Peter D, my colleague.
Pleasure. Yeah.
And my name is Eddie C, and we'll see you the next time. Ciao.